Hello. Yeah, I think it's 11:02. So let us just start. Yeah. So we are really privileged and honored to have Shri Kamal Garg ji with us today. Uh, thank you, sir. Thank you so much for joining, and thank you for agreeing to do this meeting and webinar. I think Kamal ji does not need any introduction in the CA fraternity, but still, as a formality, I will do the honors. Okay. So Kamal ji is someone, an academic, renowned chartered accountant with over 50 titles to his name in the domains of tax, audit and assurance, and corporate law, including and also Ind AS. He is a very prominent member on LinkedIn with thousands of followers, and he is probably the first one to update in terms of any relevant information that is, pertaining of some value to the chartered accountant community. And we are very happy that he has agreed to do this in-depth scrutiny of our platform, AnyAudit, wherein he is going to pose some challenging questions uh, to us, where we can show how our product, AnyAudit, is going to add value to the CA community and how really it is going to revolutionize the audit function itself. So today we also have with us CA Seva Prasad Annavarpu, the founder of AnyAudit, with over 20 years of professional experience. He is the designer and architect of this platform, which is designed from real world experiences to solve real world problems. So handing over to you, Shiva and Kamalji. Thank you everyone for joining. Shiva, you are not audible. You are muted, I guess.
Yeah. Thank you, Ritesh, and thank you, Kamal Garg, for accepting our invitation and joining here on a Sunday. And thanks a lot. And I thank all the participants for taking out time and then joining. So this is a webinar where we will see the usability and applicability of that portal, AnyAudit, which is an enterprise-wide solution in the area of audit, not only of audit, but also any special procedures, certifications, etc. So we request Kamal Garg to take the charge and then lead the discussion. So it is more conversational and more interactive, where the real world requirements of the chartered accountant, be it coming from assurance or audit or certification or consultancy. So how the product will deliver value to the chartered accountants is the theme today. So that is how we unleash the new way of audit, the future of audit. So over to you, Kamalji. Thank you. Before
Namaskar to
that,
all
if
of
you
you.
can give a small brief and introduction, that will be fine. Then we will jump on to the subject proper. Thank you.
So namaskar to all of you and good morning to each one of you. And thanks for joining this program, which Siva sir, I believe, is the mentorship holder of this program. So when I was initially called upon by Siva sir and his team to scrutinize this AnyAudit, for the first time I felt, why the word is AnyAudit? Is it something like a metaphor or something like a similitude? Because when I say AnyAudit, it could be statutory audit, tax audit, internal audit, and many more audits to come in. Considering the way regulators are active and hyperactive, like NAFRA, ROC, ICI, peer review board, quality review board, a sense of fear factor, I believe, or I should say a cautionary factor, is traveling into the minds of chartered accountants. So I was initially called upon, and when I scrutinized this program, this theme was in my mind also, whether this tool or the program or the software, which Siva sir will be making a distinction of, whether this AnyAudit will be helpful in spelling away and shunning away that kind of spinal fear factor. And I must tell you, just 2 days, 3 days back, I was addressing a program in a seminar, and the topic was auditing standards. I found, I must say this with all some way disappointment, that most of the chartered accountants were not even aware how many auditing standards are there, how many guidance notes are there. Keeping in mind the things to do and lot of things to do, I believe we need a support from a technology. And the technological support could be given by some kind of a tool or a software. Like, for example, most of us may be diligent in doing the vouching verification, but may not be able to, may not be able to capture certain things like turnover based criteria, paid up share capital based criteria, and so on. More importantly, if I share with you some examples, in one of the peer review where I was appointed, I asked a question to the gentleman that your CA firm states that we have done sample selection. Please tell me how you made a sample selection. Now the reply was quite funny. The reply was, my heart stated out of my experience that this could be the right sample selection. See, please understand, the heart cannot be documented for that matter. Similarly, in other peer review, what I found, people say these things are material or immaterial. I asked them a question, how you define materiality? So again, the same kind of answer. My professional judgment states what is material, what is not material. So there were no scientific elements to define materiality. More importantly, the audit reports which were drafted, they were not proper. Let me share with you one practical example. If you go to CARO 2020, in CARO 2020, we have para number 3, subpara number 13. Para number 3, subpara number 13 requires auditors to report as to whether the RPTs, that is related party transactions, undertaken by the company are complying with section 188 or not. This is reporting number 1. Para number 313 of CARO, clause number B, what it requires, whether the RPTs are properly disclosed in notes to accounts or not as per applicable accounting standards. Now, I don't know how it happened and why it happened. I will not comment upon that because Siva sir will be the right person to deliberate on that forefront. What I observed, in the notes to accounts, there were RPTs and they were deficiently reported. For example, a transaction with KMP was not disclosed as RPT in notes to accounts. And on the other hand, in CARO, the auditor is reporting that all the RPTs are properly disclosed in notes to accounts. Similarly, if I share with you one more example, and Siva sir, this example is quite pertinent for perhaps each one of the listeners. In this statement of P&L, there is an expense, office rent, godown rent, warehouse rent. Now, company is paying rent, auditor is issuing a report that everything is true and fair. Unfazingly, I must say, the company is paying rent, but in the notes to accounts, there is not even a single line written for lease accounting policy. And this is a kind of lapse. I will not say contravention because it is not the proper word, at least for this program. Now, if accounting policy for lease accounting is not there, ideally the auditor should have qualified the report. And this perhaps must have happened because of overlooking or maybe because of somebody else. Third example I must share with you. People do carry out internal audit. And most of the people, when they carry out internal audit, they don't know the structure of internal audit report. To tell you one example, we have standards on internal audit. We have technical guides issued by Institute of Chartered Accountants of India for internal audit of various industries. They are not properly captured. And this way what is happening, there is no sense of uniformity in the internal audit report. Let me tell you one more example. We do have standard on quality control 1. We have NAFRA order of year 2021 also, whereby it is stated, if you are the auditor of a listed company, then you must appoint engagement quality control reviewer. And to my experience, there is a confusion when to appoint, when not to appoint engagement quality control reviewer. Some people even go on to say that engagement quality control review means the review carried out by some regulator. Please understand, this EQCR, that is engagement quality control review, is not a review carried out by regulator. It's a kind of internal audit of the CA firm itself for the audit function. If I share with you one more example, the example is a company was newly incorporated company, and by virtue of section 10 capital A of Companies Act, if a company is a newly incorporated company, the subscribers have to bring in subscription money within 180 days of company's incorporation. As on reporting date, 180 days were not expired, and the subscribers are yet to bring subscription money. Siva sir, in one of the startup, the company failed to pass the journal entry, subscription money receivable account debit to paid up capital account. An auditor gave a clean report. So this way what happened, inadvertently maybe, the auditor failed to derive its attention on section 10 of the Companies Act. Perhaps we chartered accountants are reading Companies Act to the extent the coverage is done in the seminars, because in our DNA, so much of income tax and GST is traveling that even the requirements of Companies Act we are defining by virtue of Income Tax Act. Considering the new regulations which were pronounced last year about audit trail, most of the chartered accountants are not sure, perhaps because I addressed few seminars some time back in Ernakulam also, are not sure about how to draft the paragraph for audit trail, because audit trail reporting requirements are a bit different. So this is the small words from my side as a matter of ice breaking for this webinar. But I believe, considering the session which is housed for 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. today, I believe there must be some value addition. And I believe Siva sir will be able to shear away our fear factors as far as the drafting and preparation of audit report is concerned. I must say, I use two words. One is drafting and second is preparation. So when drafting is there, drafting requires efforts and skills. Preparation may not be requiring that much of skill, because at times I have seen that people do take last year audit report, and in the current year audit report, they will change the data and audit report is finalized. I must also bring one more thing to the notice of the house before I give the charge to Siva sir with some tough questions from my side. And I must assure you, the questions are not leaked to him so that the things become tough for him as well. Let me share with you, whenever time permits, go to the website mca.gov.in. Registrar of companies from various states, they have also taken punitive action against the auditors. I share one example without naming the case order. ROC Patna in a case adjudicated rupees 10,000 as penalty on the auditors because of the deficient audit report. Whenever time permits you, maybe even the course of this deliberation, somebody may search Google ROC Patna order against auditor, you will get to know how the things are getting implicated, if not complicated. So with these words, Siva sir, I give the bat to your hand and I will be bowling from my forefront. Let us have a World Cup foreplay over here. So this is my introductory element which we expect from your side to shear away our fear factors.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So thanks a lot, sir. Thanks a lot. It was really a very, very great introduction. So you have summarized a very broad horizon of the things that are happening, right from the audit to the regulatory oversight, increasing regulatory oversight. And that was an exact motivation behind this AnyAudit. So you also raised one point against the naming of that application as AnyAudit. Is it simple metaphorical or a choice of a name just like that, or is it thematic? Is it very much the representative of the soul behind that? I'll come to that. And you also raised very, very pertinent points on drafting and this one. So I just give very small introduction on the what AnyAudit is all about, and then it will be up to you to raise the questions. So this is conversational. So we get guided by the questions as you pose, sir. So how AnyAudit will deliver on the areas that you have posed, be it on peer review, be it on documentation, or be it on compliance part. So AnyAudit is an comprehensive enterprise solution. You also said one thing, the confusion between a software and a tool. Yes, definitely. When things are very small, when we are in the beginning, definitely we can wire smaller things like an Excel template or a visual basic macro driven Excel, and then some OneDrive, and then we can link with Google Forms, and then we can make it. That is also possible, or that is also advisable. But then what is missing is a sense of automation and the integration between all. So audit is a very diverse and multifaceted function. The user finding management is one area. So what the audit team had raised and how they are properly dealt with. So when we stand up for NFRA or QRBs or peer reviews, most of the time the problem is coming from the findings that are there in the file but were not properly treated. The adjusted and unadjusted misstatements not being treated as per SA 450 or something is more dangerous. So how the user finding management, that is one important area. Like that, if you take data and go into data, analyze it, stratify it, probabilistic sampling, so that is one bigger area. And then drafting, how automated our drafting is. So when we integrate all of them together, when we integrate all the modules together in a configurable way, which means that whether it is a listed company or a proprietary concern, whether it is a assurance function or a certification or a consultancy or even litigation management, I have got hundreds of income tax scrutiny files. Can I audit? Can AnyAudit help there? Absolutely yes. So it is an enterprise-wide solution. So as an analogy, I say one thing. So what is the difference between an Excel-driven accounting package versus a standalone accounting tool versus an SAP kind of an enterprise solution? In an enterprise solution, the inventory module will talk to production module, will talk to sales module. Similarly, in any audit, the drafting part, the execution part, the materiality determination part, the data analytics part, the documentation part, the communication part will talk to each other. And that makes up a very holistic approach towards audit. And you can perform statutory or internal or anything you can configure upfront. That does not mean it is a very blank shell. You have to, it's like an open ground and you have to build everything the lathe machine is given. It is not like that. The most common use cases like corporate audit, tax audit, and GST audit, which are a regular plain vanilla, everybody's use case is already pre-built, like a template in an Excel or something like that. So you can simply borrow, plug and play immediate. Be that it may, for any special purpose engagement, you can configure the way you want. The configurability to any use case is what is making it as a generic, and that is the name any. So first I have answered your implicit question in the naming. So with that, we are open, sir. We are open for your bowling, sir. So it is up to you, sir. So you can start your conversation with the question and then we take it up.
Thank you very much, Siva sir. Can you give you a brief glance of what your AnyAudit looks like?
Yeah. Let me share my screen.
So as of now, we do have 46 standards as engagement and quality control standards. My members may not be aware of all the standards. Some may be aware of more than the standards. So how this tool will be helpful in making a balance, especially for a person like me, for example, I'm a sole proprietor. I am having SME clients, and maybe most of the auditing standards or assurance standards may not be relevant for me. So how this tool will be helpful for me?
Yeah, yes, sir. So first of all, how this tool looks like, what is the look and feel? So it's a cloud-based interface. So thereby it elaborates collaboration. Every one of the office members can be a part of that cloud and they can perform their audit here itself. It is not that they do the audit somewhere else and upload the documents here. It is not a simple document management system or a project management system or a practice management system. It is much more. The very audit happens here. So this is a interface, and in the settings, we can set any sort of an audit or an engagement. So I use the word engagement for a while to make it sound like it is not specific to audit or assurance. It could be any engagement. So you said in the settings, there are multiple configurable settings. So it could be a checklist, it could be a check of compliance, it could be a check of a process, or we may be making a risk assessment of a given standard process, or we may be drafting some sort of an, or we may be taking some special audit procedures. So they are all configurable. Of course, we have given ready to use plug and play templates. So the most important one is a template for audit program. In that I can design what I want. For example, if it is audit of a trust, so I can go to, I'll take it something grounds up. So I can go to audit of a trust and I can add whatever the checklist or the compliance standards that are required there. So in this, maybe I'm adding, let us say under the checklist section. So I'm adding a few checklists here, like AS1 disclosure. This is applicable here. Now what happening is this becomes my audit plan for this area. So like audit of partnership firm, I can design a new one. It is nothing but a compilation of the smaller Lego bricks kind of a thing. Each Lego brick, I can put it up at one place and make it into audit of partnerships. So similarly, I have made one internal audit. I have made one GST audit. It could be internal audit of a hospital industry. Okay, so like that, I can build any internal audit of hotel industry. So in this internal audit of hotel industry, we have compiled certain things which are relevant. Maybe verification of food and beverage consumption, maybe verification of some other kind of a checklist, which is relevant in this internal audit program of a hotel industry. So that way we can configure like a Lego bricks, how we combine everything and then put it into one. We can design any audit. It could be proprietary concern. It could be a very lighter version. It could be very bigger version. And then, shall I have to do it hands-on? Shall I have to do it hands-on? No. There is some sort of an automation here. So there is a framework called FCDE, which is indigenous, and we developed it completely on our own. In a sense, we can wire facts, conditions, and decisions. So in a sense, if the user defines the facts, like it is a listed company and it is having a paid up capital of 15 crore and a turnover of some 100 crore and some deposits, borrowings, etc. And the nature of industry is so and so. So once we define these things, the system will draw the audit program on its own. Just to put things in action, you can see here, because it is a listed company, under the fact section, I have given it as a listed company. Under the decision section, you can see all the regulatory compliance under the Companies Act, the independent director, the audit committee as per Companies Act, the corporate social responsibility, whether having a key management personnel, whether having audit committee is mandatory or not. All of these steps, yes, sir. One second. So all of these steps are auto drawn. Okay. Yes, sir. Go ahead, sir. You're raising something.
Sir, after this, you have in the decision tab. Can you please go? Decision tab.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
In the decision tab, we have this value, previous value, action.
Yeah.
Can you show any action for any item, like let us say CSR, number 6 CSR?
Okay. I'll take it for Caro because I believe it is already configured. So yeah, first thing is how the Caro is evaluated as yes. Under the action, if I go on this eye icon, it will give the total logic behind that. As per the Companies Act, Caro is applicable in this case, in case of a listed, in case of a public company, in case of its turnover based, so borrowings based. So there are two segments. How the Caro decision is evaluated. This is yes. Why? Because of all of these facts. So that working paper is auto-generated. Two, because Caro 200 is applicable, the following checklist is Caro 2020 checklist had become triggered automatically by the system. Okay, so these are the two areas you are referring to under the actions tab. Like this, for every decision, the system will automatically trigger the consequential audit action to be performed. So just by giving as few as 10 facts, type of company, share capital, and EBITDA, the total audit plan will be drawn in strict compliance with the regulatory framework. And the beauty of it is, in case of a new, let us say I am showing the use case of corporate statutory audit. Now, let us say it is an NBFC. You can go to the settings section and you can write your own rule. So it is programmable by the user, of course, by advanced users. In case of a small users, proprietary concerns and all, almost all of their real day-to-day use cases are covered. That's it, sir.
Sir, nowadays, the peer reviewer comes to the office, to the firms where peer review is applicable. So how far this tool or a program could be helpful in preparing the documents relevant for the peer review? Like we need the standard SQC1 quality control manual. So can this tool help me in preparing my quality control manual?
Yes, sir. I think with this one question, you have raised hundred and thousands of questions in that. Because to stand to a peer review, we must establish everything under the sun, right from the SQC to the way it is planned, to the way it is budgeted, to the way the samples are drawn. So I think with this one question, we can have a detailed site tour. But anyway, I will first go to the planning section. And in this, I can also showcase as to how the system is. Let me take one assignment, which is real, which was already built with data so that it becomes easy for me to demonstrate. Yeah. So once we log into the assignment, it will be like this, the dashboard. So how many items are pending under each section is guided by the system. Anyway, to your question on a peer review or on a planning side, once we go into the engagement planner, this is how the engagement planner does look like. And it is like a Windows folder kind of an approach. So for each of the chapters, right from acceptance, there is one chapter. Scoping of that engagement is another chapter. And then we come to detailed audit plan and then review of financials. Like this, there are multiple chapters. And in each of the chapters, there will be subfolders and subfolders like that. Now, under the engagement and acceptance, now as per the peer review, as per SA 200, as per SA 210, how we have to the acceptance procedures that we have to follow, the system automatically draws them. How the system is automatically drawing it up? It is by importing a proper template, which is a one-step, one-click activity. So depending on the type of the engagement we are in, it could be a statutory audit. It could be a statutory audit. It could be an internal audit of hotel or infrastructure company or stock and receivables audit, or it could be a GST audit, whatever it is. By drawing up a proper template, the master pack, the total audit plan gets drafted on its own. Okay. Now, in this, all the acceptance formalities that are to be performed, like letter of expression of interest, this custom report is automatically drawn. So if you click on that, we can see the exact draft. And we can edit the draft to the extent it is required. And this becomes our working paper automatically. So if a peer reviewer comes, we can demonstrate how we have followed the procedure under any one of these chapters. Of course, when I dig deep into each of these chapters, how the sample is drawn, how the audit findings are finalized, how the reports are generated, then it becomes a total site tour. So just to answer it on an immediate one, you also asked about EQCR. So I am expanding the whole program. Now you can see here the performance, the sign off, and the EQCR. This EQCR login can be given to the EQCR person, be it internal or external. So the EQCR login, he will have a right to access whole of the working papers. Okay. And if you want any working paper to be generated, so you can generate the working papers on any tab by clicking on the PDF button. So let us say audit acceptance, the PDF button gets generated automatically and the PDF gets downloaded to the documentation section. Okay. So if the peer reviewer comes, we can simply share this folder, this documentation folder.
Okay.
The documentation folder, which will have as many for each of the chapters. You call it memos, you call it as audit notes, you call it as findings, right from acceptance and expression of interest. So this is a letter of expression of interest. So when a peer reviewer comes, we have to demonstrate how the audit is done as per the regulatory framework. This whole documentation folder is ready-made and it is automatic. The user need not intervene into that and they are generated automatically. As and when we perform the audit on the portal, the documentation is getting generated automatically in the background. That's it, sir.
So, Siva sir, by this virtue, because you have captured EQCR over here, can I say that we are in a position to comply with SQC1 about the review as well as revised code of ethics regarding review?
Yes.
Okay. Does your tool also helps in drafting and communicating regarding NOC from the previous auditor?
Yes, sir, of course. So you can see here in the tool, under the acceptance section, there is NOC to previous auditor. This NOC from previous auditor is getting drawn from the settings. Okay. In the settings tab, we have given some 3 or 4 models. If the user wants to develop any other model, he can build it also. So once we draw it up, NOC to the previous auditor, you can see here the name of the firm and all are automatically filled. Okay, so we have we developed one technology by name audit variables. Okay, so this audit variables is a very powerful utility in the hands of chartered accountants. So they can use it in any way they want. Like for example, if I'm drafting something like this, we have found some variable overstatement of assets to the tune of rupees. So instead of typing the overstatement of asset, I can very well call that variable. I'm using that overstatement of assets here. So this is a variable which the portal will pull from the working papers and place it here. Okay, so this you can
automatically there will be cross-reference.
Yeah, by any audit. So now you can see we have found the overstatement of assets to the tune of some number. This some number is coming from the aggregation of all the working papers in that relevant area. So this we can use in communicating to TCWG or communicating to previous auditors or communicating to any other balance confirmations. So therefore the variables becoming a callable entity and being used along with the text is making the whole power here. And this makes our lives very, very easy. We can even draft it. So therefore here I gave this example to just to show you yours faithfully name of the audit firm. So instead of typing the engagement partner here, I'm using the name of the engagement partner as a variable. Engagement partner. So therefore, the engagement partner, if there is a change in the engagement partner, the name of that engagement partner and all will get automatically driven. Okay. And in case of independence confirmations, okay, there is a concept of signatory to this draft. So you can add any signatories to a draft. It could be your internal audit team, like for example, independence confirmation. So I may add whole team as a signatories to the document. Okay. So if I add Abhishek and if I add Bhagavan to this, so I will see whether they have accepted or not. The acceptance status is null. Now, the moment they accept, it becomes accepted. So if I click on this, so I can see it is not, it is still not accepted. Okay. I can add myself as a signatory and sign it off as well. So this way, what happens is to the peer reviewer, it gives a comfort that we have in fact drafted, we have in fact collected the independence confirmations. It is not for a namesake. And that is what I say, the difference between having a tool. We can very well do this in case of an Excel and then say everybody signed and all. But here it is happening on a portal. Okay. Now, if I add myself to this document, right now I am on the login of Pravina. So I am Pravina, therefore I can accept it. So I may say that I have accepted, and the date of acceptance I can predate, postdate it, not a problem, because for documentation, statutorily we are permitted to do it within certain time. So therefore accepted, something like that. So it becomes a documentation. So therefore, whether it is a client induction or whether it is a staff induction, whether it is an independence confirmation. So therefore, there is a very powerful drafting utility here. One, you can borrow from the masters. Two, you can variabilize it. You can use any variable that you want so that your drafts are staying intact. The moment the working papers or the moment the facts of the engagement are changing, they are engaged. And there is an signatory concept where all the people, if it is relevant, all the people that are relevant to the document can sign it off. And last but not the least, we can download it as a Word, you can download it as a PDF and then send it across. Or if you download it as a PDF file, this becomes in an exact format given by our institute. Okay. So you can see here the client engagement, you can see the working paper references are auto-generated 100001003, which means that it is falling under the folder 100, subfolder 1 and text 3. Yes, sir.
Siva sir, how this statutory audit function which you are demonstrating can be integrated with tax audits also, because in most of the cases, the statutory auditors are also the tax auditors of the same entity. So how far this could be integrated? Is it possible?
Yeah. Yes, sir. So I go back again to the engagement planner. This engagement planner, I can borrow multiple templates into one engagement. It is not that if I borrow one engagement, the another engagement could not be borrowed. Now, if I go here and borrow the tax audit template also. So what happens is all of that are relevant to the tax audit will get borrowed onto this under the relevant chapter. Okay, so you call it as 3CD reporting, you call it as all of that is relevant to that becomes copied onto that. So that way the engagement could be a combination of multiple templates possible. So now if I collapse my area, maybe under the execution, I will have something relating to tax audit. So clause 42 requirements, furnish form 6061B checklist. So this is coming from tax audit. Okay, so like that, if I am also performing GST audit in this, I can also borrow the GST engagement. And if there are one or two trusts like Employee Provident Fund Trust, which is also an integral part of that, or if there are any consolidated financials where I am doing the subsidiary entities also, so I can borrow those templates also.
Okay.
So that way it is configurable to the extent or to the real life requirement.
Siva sir, whether this tool converts trial balance of the entity into Schedule 3 financial statements, and then can we have the cash flow statement also?
Yeah. Before that, I just want to have a very small what you call the side tour so that it makes more relevant. So you can see the modular structure here. Once I get into the engagement, there are the modules that are opened up based on the way I have scoped. It is not that they are static. It is based on the engagement. There are multiple modules. So in that you can see here, the first one is planning and initiation. After comes the financial statement preparation and review. Then lead sheets are all generated in this section. Here process related, IPOFR related, internal control over financial reporting requirement module is there, where you can capture a process, perform the process walkthrough, perform the risk assessment, generate the heat maps and all. Then this module is totally dedicated to number crunching, data collection, analytics, sample generation based on multiple things like Pareto analysis or random sampling or whatever. And then this is the substantive testing, the filling up of a checklist and all. So from this module, if any findings are there, they will go to audit findings. From the audit findings, the report it will go to audit reports. From audit reports, the last one is audit documentation, which is nothing but compilation of all the earlier modules at one place, nothing specific about it. And next is sign off and EQCR. So this is a modular flow. I made this just to sound relevant, because if I'm jumping from one screen to another screen, people may get lost. So that is why all of these modules again can be accessed from this simple engagement planner. I need not go this way also. Like if I have to go to financial statements, I can simply go to financial statements right from here itself, materiality, financial statement, or I can go from here also. So it's a small 1 minute tour on the site, so that my movement on screen is not jerky to the audience. So now you asked
Basically,
about the
have
financial
captured steps of audit.
Yes, sir.
You have captured all the steps of audit. Step 1, 2, reporting and conclusion.
Yeah. It's a natural intuitive flow, right from planning at the top to the sign off at the bottom. Yeah. Now, under the financial statement section, this is the multiple subscreens that are there. You can capture from any level. Like for example, in some areas, the financial statements are auto drawn. If you go to a listed company, the financial statements are auto drawn, and we are starting our financial statements from the numbers that are given. So in this case, I can go input to the financial statement as it is and perform the rest of the audit action. In some areas, maybe we are given a trial balance and we are starting from the trial balance. Of course, preparation of financial statements is technically not on the zone of the auditor, but then unless we see the trial balance converted into a balance sheet and we perform the specified process, it is not possible. So in this case, if you upload the trial balance here, under the upload trial balance section, we can define the mapping rules. Under the mapping rules section, we can define how the GLs have to be mapped. And once they are mapped, it becomes a store. Like these are the GL mapping rules. So these GL mapping rules will stay in memory. Of course, for first assignment, you have to do it manually as per the requirement. But once done, it becomes a master and it is iteratively applied over the trial balance. So the moment I upload the trial balance, they are all mapped. And based on this, the financial statements are generated. Okay. So let me explain each item of this screen. So this is a financial statement that is generated. Now, whether it is a material class of transaction account balance or not, system will automatically map it. The MCOTAB classification system will do. Previous year amounts are pulled up because it is an portal. 2023-24 is a subject year. 2022-23 numbers are auto drawn. The difference is captured. The difference is captured as a percentage. And wherever it is above the threshold that we set, it will turn into red just to prompt our immediate attention. And it will also do the compositional analysis. Okay. And you said about schedule 3. It is not limited to schedule 3. While we configure the client name is demo enterprise. So let me have a small detour here. So if I add a client, while adding the client itself, I can say which framework he belongs to. The system will apply that framework. Okay, like he could be an NBFC, he could be framework for NBFCs, he could be an insurance company, or it could be a division 1, schedule 3, IGAP, smaller companies, or it could be a bigger company following Ind AS framework. Okay, so while I create a client, I will define the framework to which he belongs. It could be a trust NGO. Now gone, ICA had also released the guidance for non-corporate entities, the framework. So these frameworks are inbuilt, and you can build another framework also. Let us say you are doing an international audit, and in the international audit, there is a set US GAAP framework for that. You can go to the settings. You can go to the financial framework section, and you can set up a new framework also possible. Okay. So it becomes configurable to that extent. So because I have configured the framework schedule 3 to this particular client demo enterprise, my financial statements are drawn in that particular framework automatically. once I uploaded the trial. Okay. Now, once I uploaded the trial, yeah, please, sir.
What is this AnyAudit ABD?
So I lost
in
it.
the fourth column.
Yeah.
In the fourth column.
Yeah.
Serial number, description. After description, we have
Yeah, I got it.
ABD.
Yeah. So these are material class of transactions, account balances, and disclosures. So they are marked as material by the system automatically. How the system is doing it automatically? Because there is an audit materiality section over here. So on the audit materiality section, we will define the materiality. So how do we define the materiality? Now, Institute had also released one template as to how the SA 320, the guidance note on audit materiality. So the materiality could be defined. There could be one materiality for the whole organization, which is typically the case. But if based on whether it is a debt-driven company, whether it is an income-heavy company or a balance sheet-heavy company, we can also define our P&L materiality different from balance sheet materiality. Possible. The system will enable. Now, in this, let me explain how it is done. So here, if you see, there are multiple factors like gross turnover, COGS, PBT, PAT, EBITDA. I can base my materiality on any one of these factors. So here for profit and loss, I have taken PBT as a base, and then I have set 10% as my planning materiality, which becomes 89,86,000 in this given case. So any P&L item above this threshold is relevant for planning. Okay, and I can set my performance materiality a little lesser than the planning materiality, so that what happens is, if at all there are any misstatements, and if the misstatements exceed the performance materiality, system will automatically buzz. Okay, so based on this definition, what is happening is, if I am going to here, all the transactions are marked as MCOTAB. So if I change the definition of the planning materiality, maybe the materiality threshold will change. And based on each of these line items, whether it is material or not, the system will automatically classify it. And this becomes my working paper. You see, everything is automatic. The moment I define materiality, the MCOTAB classification is being done by the system. Of course, quantitatively. If I qualitatively want to add one more thing, though not material qualitatively, I can very well do that. Based on a qualitative parameter, based on a subjective judgment of the auditor. Though it is not MCOT as per the numerical formula, I can very well do that as an override. Now, for each of the line item of the balance sheet, wherever there is material, I can have a drill down. I can go down on that, and I can define my working paper as well. Yes, sir. So that is how you asked about MCOTB classification, how it is being done. It is being done by system.
I must compliment, because this materiality test is extremely significant. Reason being, as I told in my initial words, most of the chartered accountant says materiality means my heart says this thing. So now this heart will come into paperwork by virtue of the scientific element of this materiality, because we need to understand we have a standard SA 320 regarding audit materiality. That SA 320 need to be applied and implemented. So I believe this tool can be helpful. And more importantly, Siva sir, I also need to know from you how far this tool can be helpful to me in complying with SA 315 risk assessment.
Okay. Yeah, so that's a whole bigger area. The risk assessment, we may do the risk assessment at multiple.
There's a question from somebody in the chat box.
Yeah. Ritesh, can you please help me out on that? I'm sharing the screen and I couldn't see the chart window.
The question is, what is chart of accounts?
What is chart? Yeah.
Chart of accounts. Once we upload the trial balance, the chart of accounts is prepared automatically. Nothing but why there are two areas, chart of accounts and a trial balance, because at a chart of accounts level, it becomes a master, and the trial balance, you can upload it multiple times. Okay. So like, for example, if I go to the upload trial balance section and I'm uploading multiple trial balance here, the system will have a consolidation of all the trial balances. So by that, it means if I am having 5 locations, there could be 5 trial balances. If I am uploading a monthly trial balance, there could be 5 into 12, 60 trial balances. So the moment I upload a trial balance, the financial statements that are displayed is nothing but an aggregation of all of the trial balances that are uploaded. Okay. So again, there is another sub feature. Like for example, the March trial balance I have uploaded. So it will come and sit in a uploaded section. Then I have to pull it up to the top. What happens is, once I do all the audit, the client will submit a revised trial balance. So there is a facility of replacing one trial balance and putting another trial balance so that your working papers are not disturbed, your mapping rules are not disturbed, your MOCT classification is not disturbed. Okay. So therefore, there is a very detailed, there is a detailed utility there. You can upload multiple location-wise or entity-wise trial balances. You can upload multiple period-wise trial balances. You can also replace an existing trial balance with another trial balance, like March trial balance, which it is an usual case. What happens if it is an Excel? My total formulas are going for a toss. Now, because it is a stable portal cloud kind of an interface, it is like we are putting one more Lego brick into that, and then rest of it is all staying intact. Yes, sir. Hope I answered it.
Yeah, there is one more question from CA Murali Telluri.
Okay.
The question is, can we plan limited review for each quarter of listed entity? Can we plan and confirm interim audit for large unlisted entity and continue it for final audit and need to upload 2 different trial balances?
Okay. Great, sir. So Kamal Garg, I'm taking that question.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Now, for that, I have to have a small detour and go back to the settings. The hierarchy that we followed as an acronym for ease of calling: campus, clients, assignments, milestones, plans, users, and then settings. So it forms as a campus. When you go to an assignment and you create a new assignment, okay, we can create an assignment like with a periodicity. So while we create an assignment, there itself it will ask whether it involves audit or financials. There could be special purpose engagements where financial statements are involved, but we are not auditing. That is a different story. Whenever there is a limited review kind of a thing, whenever we are opening up a not one assignment, but a series of assignments. So there I say, yes, it involves. Now I am taking one client name. I take client name as Ritesh Enterprises. Okay, and assignment as limited review. The periodicity I cannot change because it goes on step 1, step 2. 23, 24 is already created. So now I can create only for 24, 25. I cannot create for 25. I cannot jump. So therefore it is up to you to decide which starting year for each client, like how you can even go 5 years back and start from there if you want a history or a legacy. Okay. Yeah, I'll go there, sir. And on the term, now here I'm defining the term. So let me take one more client. I think this is fixed. Yeah. Now I'm saying the client name is testing demo and the periodicity is limited review and it is for 25, 26. And I'm setting myself, in this case, Pravina, as a now. If you open up this assignment, it is not one assignment that is created. The system will spin off 4 quarters in one go. Okay. So from Q1 itself, Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4 are formed. And because it is a limited review, so you will have a facility to look back to Q1 balance sheet, Q2 balance sheet, staying in Q3. Okay. For that, the prerequisite is you have to configure it properly. You have to configure it with the set term. So if you say it as a quarterly, now I created only one for testing demo. But if I go to the assignment section, now you can see 4 assignments are created in one go. Now what happens if I made a memo in Q1, I can also answer it in Q3. So the life cycle will continue for Q1 to Q4. Okay, so the review remarks will get carried forward. It is like they behave like individual, but they behave like aggregate as well. Okay, so hope I answered your question on the limited review. Once I go into that, each assignment is an individual one with its own sign off and engagement quality review and all. But then each assignment speaks to others also by default because they are so configured. Yeah.
So yes, it was a 2-part question actually. Okay. The second part was, can we plan and confirm internal audit for large unlisted entity? And is there a facility for multiple trial balances? Basically, this is the second part of the question.
Yeah. So trial balances I have answered already. So under the trial balance section, you can go upload. While you upload a trial balance, let me show one. So when I upload a trial balance, it will ask me the batch name. That means this is my 5th set of trial balance and pertaining to multiple locations. It is pertaining to head office location. So therefore, it is very much possible. You can upload any trial balances for a given assignment. It will consolidate all of them by default. Okay, and if you want to remove any sort of an inter unit, you can very well pass a rectification entry or a reclassification entry there. So that is answered. Now you are asking about another question on can I confirm and accept the internal audit while I'm doing the statutory audit? Very much, sir. Your question pertains to audit findings module. So in the audit findings module, you can see here there are multiple things. One, the memos that you raise, the audit notes, audit communication, and external communication. And there is one FBO, findings by others. So it caters to all the SA 600, 610, all 6 series essays are captured over here. Now you can come here and under the findings by others section, you can take any of the expert agencies. It is not limited to even internal audit. It could be an actuary. It could be from some other compliance audit. It could be from a credit analyst who passed a remark. It could be from some other engineer. It could be from internal auditor. So you can go take an internal audit, reference out his text like page number 42. Okay. And from which population the internal auditor is remarking is coming from. It could be from any of the populations like fixed asset register, sales register, etc. And you can create a finding by other. So once you take up the finding by other, it is like capturing all the work of other experts, all those denominated under SA 600 series, 600, 610 and all. So you can capture all of them under the section findings by others. And from the findings by others, you can have a log. How many are complete? How many are not complete? Shall they have to be escalated to audit report as a qualification, emphasis or whatever? So this way you can capture work of others, any work of others. It could, like if you go to bank audit, the bank audit, there is a very big slew of audits that are happening even before we step in. Like RBIA is happening, head office inspection is happening, credit audit happening, legal audit happening. So the first and basic requirement of us as an auditor, statutory auditor is at least we should give a proper treatment of all the findings that are already on record. Okay, so you can depute one of our staff members and capture all of them. You can upload them. If it is in an Excel format, you can upload, or you can granularly take one by one. Yeah. So hope I answered your question, sir. There is an.
Yeah. So there is one more question from Kriti Kumar Potian. The question is, can we pass journal entries? And they also want Kamal sir's question about cash flow preparation to be answered.
Yeah. One on a cash flow preparation. On a cash flow preparation, it will come here, but then it was not made live in this demo. It will get prepared automatically, but not to the extent of printing. Like for example, if you go to the analytics, here the schedule 3 framework is in a table approach. It is like in a tree approach. So you cannot sign it off. You cannot have auditor signature on the left hand side, director signature on the right hand side. That is not possible. Because it is more from audit side, you cannot prepare the financials. For that, we have another utility, any financials, which will be live for this financial year. So the preparation for the purpose of printing purpose will happen here. There we have the facility to give all disclosures also. Here the focus is more on reviewing the financials that are already prepared, or from trial balance it will prepare. Okay, cash flow statement is there, but it is not in this. I'm doing it from demo. So in this demo, it is not that facility was not enabled. I'll show it. Oxar cash flow URL obtained. Okay, I'll show it in few minutes, sir. And then you asked about rectification entries. Yes, you can pass any JV. So you can see here the total analytics year to date. This is applicable when there are limited reviews like Q1, Q2, Q3 will come and aggregate will come. Because we are in Q1, only Q1 had come. If we are in Q3, Q1, Q2, Q3, Y2D report is automatic. Ratio analysis. So all the ratios as per schedule 3 or not even as per schedule 3, all the solvency ratios, holding periods, inventory periods are all automatically calculated. Risk assessment, misstatements, the way to collect the input, that is capturing financial statements as it is without going through the trial balance and then adding it up. Here there is rectification and reclassification, which you can pass. So why there are two heads? Rectification is where you give debit and credit to one GL. So let us say I'm passing one entry from oh, I'm in a different I'm in a wrong assignment, sorry. It is without data. I'm surprised. Yeah, here it is. Yeah, in the rectification section, you can see unsecured loan debit and capital account credit. I created a new assignment now. I'm in that. So that was it. Sorry for that. So I can choose any location and I can choose any GL. Like I can choose one GL as mobile phones, and then I can debit or credit whatever it is to another head. So the audit JV is passed here. So this is the JVs that we pass as auditors, or we suggest it as auditors. So you can have a document for this, the PDF that you can share with the auditee to pass later. And the reclassification is when one GL has to be reported under two heads. Like for example, you can see here Amar Organics is there. It is this Amar Organics is totally under trade receivables, but I want to split it into two parts, one to trade receivables and one portion to loans and advances, or one to current and one to non-current. So keeping the same GL, I can pass an entry at financial statement level. So this is a reclassification entry. So this becomes very handy when we are giving for what you call like for the presentation purposes. It is a very easy thing to happen, and then you can share these documents as a PDF for being affected in the assignment, for being affected in the real accounts later. Yeah. Yeah, yes, sir. Of course, you can have one debit and multiple credits. Yeah, all of them are all taken care. Like if I say I'll take capital account and then capital account debit, and I can pass unsecured loans to some and then creditors to some. Of course, don't question the proprietary of that. For the saving the time of demo, I'm taking whatever comes. So it is like one debit and then multiple credits, one credit and multiple debits. You can pass any clubbed entries also, not an issue at all. So these are our closing entries, which are to be affected in the financial statements real time, immediately, without waiting for the entry to be passed by the accountant in his accounting screen. And you can see the changes happening in the real screen immediately. Okay, but it is not a ready to print financial statement software. That is a different use case. And moreover, from our same IP, from our same login, we are not supposed to do that also. In one single application, if we do that, it is a clear case that financial statements are prepared in the auditor's office. There is one slight risk also. So that is one. And to keep it to the audit, we intentionally have not kept the ready to print. Ready to print is in another application. Yeah, you're saying something, Ritesh? Sorry.
No. I was just moving on to the next question. The next question is from Kamal Garg itself.
Yeah. That is what I'm about to say. We can take up the question and answer of the people a little later. I mean, in a sense, participants. Kamal Garg had asked about risk assessment. From there,
exactly.
we have taken.
Yeah.
So I just want to go by this conversational mode, and then we will open the house for question and answers. We'll take any one of them. What happens is that maybe the series will get lost. The sequence will get lost. Yeah, Kamalji, you asked about 315 risk assessment. So the risk assessment can happen at multiple layers, at least 4 layers. One at the time of acceptance of engagement itself. whether it is a risky engagement. 2, we can capture all the processes, the workflows of an entity and perform the internal control walkthrough and come to a risk assessment. 3, when I collect data, the audit population, it could be fixed asset register or sales register. There also I can perform a risk assessment to pick up a proper sample. So SA 315 had given a very detailed use cases on multiple risk assessments. All of them are supported by the system. So I'll take the process related risk. Ritesh, can you mute everyone others, please? Yeah. So this is under process audit or ICO for audit, whatever you can call. So there are multiple heads here. You can capture a process first and then perform the risk assessment of that. So let us take one process, fixed asset acquisition. So the client is following one process, one SOP. You can capture it here. So let us say he is first evaluating the need, conducting cost benefit analysis, budgeting and approval. So like that, these are all the sub processes under the process. I can add one more. I can go add and I can type it. So it becomes part of the SOP. Or if there is a standard SOP and if I want to use it to multiple clients or to the same client again and again, I can store it in the master and import it here. Okay, so this import is coming from masters. So we have also provided all the most likely usable processes like order to pay, hire to fire, bill to cash. So all of those ready-made or very regularly used things we have already captured under the settings so that you need not start it from the scratch. You can borrow and then edit it to the client's requirement. Otherwise, to a real client process, you can capture by adding one by one, step by step. So once it is captured, the next step is performing a risk assessment thereon. So this is, we call it as internal control evaluation. We call it as RCM, popularly called risk control matrix, or we can call it as risk assessment, whatever is the name. So in this, for every given process, like need for fixed asset, evaluating the need, what are all the risks that are identified, we can come and capture here. So again, you can capture one by one manually by adding one more risk. Go to the risk name, description, what assertions are hit by that, like completeness, valuation, whatever the assertions, which line item of the FSS is affected by that. So that way I can capture risk by risk. Or if I had stored some risks in my master, which we are already giving some 100+ risks, solvency risk, counterparty risk, knowing your client risk, and then reputation risk. So all of those kind of risk we are already captured. You can use any one of them, or you can create your own masters. The main advantage of any audit is it builds the firm culture. Let us say there are 6 branches. You have built some risks in one branch. All the other branches in a domain can use that. Okay, so the learning curve impact over second year or third year will be huge, because we are investing in capitalizing it in one way so that we can repeatedly use it. Yeah. Now I can borrow a risk so that I will say solvency of vendor instead of typing. I can very well use the same text here. It will save a lot of time. Okay. So I have created risks and I have created the controls that were put by the office or the client. So this becomes my risk and control matrix. You can see here, if I add a control, it will ask me what is the name of the control. So the name of the control is like third-party verification. So what is the type of a control? Is it a preventive one or a detective one? So is it how frequent it is? Is it in a batch way that I'm doing all batching it up to a month and then doing, or it is transactional? Is it automated, semi-automated or manual? If it is driven by SAP kind of an ERP, then it is completely automatic. It could be partly software driven, but partly manually intervened, then semi-automatic. Then who is the owner of the control in the office? It could be by designation, like GM Finance is responsible for this control, so that I'm capturing each of the controls here. So when I capture each of the controls, my risk and control matrix is drawn in full form. Okay, now there are certain number parts here. What is the probability of occurrence and the scale of impact? This is as per the RBIA, risk-based internal audit, where we have to capture a process, perform the risk assessment based on the auditor's judgment, quantify them the way, and then based on the risk profile, I have to perform my internal audit, where to concentrate more and where to concentrate less. So I can come and give the probability and scale of impact here. Okay. Now, I haven't talked about sampling. So I will, when the time is for that, I'll go into sampling also. But for a while, let us stay. I take 10 vouchers, I take 10 purchase orders and ask the people to have a process walkthrough. Then what happens? It will become compliance testing, which is also called as test of detail, or control testing, which is also called as test of design. So if I go to test of design, the user, normally the first level people of the audit. So for them, what happens is, in the given case, in the fixed asset register item number 736, while I am performing a process walkthrough, whether this risk got invoked or not, whether this control that was so planned is effective or not, the user is documenting. So this becomes a very strong working paper to prove that the internal control assessment is done. Okay, because I'm not saying, I'm not taking one digitized checklist. So now people say automation has digitized checklist where nothing is there, just there will be a checklist. Instead of Google form, it is there on cloud. So that is not automatic. When we have a sampling it out, when we are answering for sample, and when the aggregate is coming and sitting on a risk assessment, so it becomes my risk assessment with the score. Okay, now I can visualize it as a heat map. So how many risks are there? So what are insignificant to catastrophic and what are very rare to almost certain? So I can see it. So this becomes a very beautiful document to the board. Okay. So based on this, these are all the working papers for SA 315 as to how I performed the risk assessment at process level. Similarly, I can do the same risk assessment in another module, financial statements also, like for equity and liability, what is the perceived risk and perceived control? For the share capital, this is financial statement risk assessment. This is process risk assessment. And another area is the documentation, the data collection. Of course, I'm not into the data collection and analytics or sampling kind of a thing, but because of the coherency and then completeness. So this is my data analytics module. Here also, if I take out a sample, like if I take out 3 or 4 samples, I can mark them as risk. So against a risk parameter like solvency or whatever the risk that I choose, I can give a value. Just give me a moment. So I can add these risks and I can have a mapping at the what you call that, at a data collection stage as well. Yeah. So that is on the specific question, sir, on how can we prove the compliance and how can even, in fact, we take up the assignments on risk assessment. So risk assessment itself could be a very potential area for chartered accountants because most of the ICOFR had become a procedural formality. Kamalji is a better person to comment on that. Yeah, over to you, sir. Any other questions on risk assessment? You may please post.
Add to say this whole discussion you had, I believe that this could be even adapted for risk-based audits in case of financial institutions.
Yeah, exactly, sir. Exactly. This is as much an as auditor's tool as much as it is an auditee's tool also. Exactly. True.
Because
True,
say for example, now Basel norms have been revised, and RBI is also very frequent in issuing circulars. So last year they issued scale-based regulations, and one of the requirement is ICAP, internal capital adequacy assessment process, which requires us to make some assessment of the risk. I believe the whole scenario which you displayed over here can be adapted even from the auditee side as NBFCs or the banks to
yes,
make an
yes.
assessment of economic capital.
Yeah. And the auditors can take up that as a full-time engagement. Instead of doing the audit, we draft the internal control framework. We identify the risk and we suggest the risk control mitigants. We share the heat maps quarterly. And we will have a risk targets also. Like, for example, if this is my heat map at a given area, like in case of NBFC, in case of KYC of the party, let us say this is the risk matrix. So our target should be to make so many reds into oranges, oranges into yellows, and yellows into greens. So therefore, if you take it for Q2, so what is the heat map to heat map progress that we are making? Exactly, sir. It could be a very big potential area also to explore for auditors as a new.
At this very point of time, I must say that it appears to me that this whole scenario and the report consequent upon to this is seemingly on the lines of standard on internal audit 370. So we have one standard on internal audit 370. Your output on the screen seems like it is complying with SA 370 also.
Yes, so we
So-
considered SA 370, the COSO framework, the Sarbanes-Oxley framework, the Indian IS framework, and then the product was generated in a generic sense that it will cater to any one of them. Yeah, exactly, sir. That is the guiding, the RBII, the guidance note issued by Institute on Risk-Based Audit of Risk-Based Internal Audit Program, RBIP. So this is an exact, even they follow 5 into 5, 25 score. We also followed 5 into 5, 25 score. It is totally motivated by that, sir. True.
So I believe, Siva sir, we should request the participants to raise their queries.
Yeah, Mr. Kirti Kumar Kotain has one more question. It is based to risk only. Just a moment.
Yeah, after that, I'll take the regular flow. In fact, where the checklist is filled, how is it related to audit report, final deliverable report? Because that is
Actually,
main.
I would suggest maybe, sir, okay, we can just take this last question because this is the only single question that is unanswered. And
No,
after that,
on
we
this
can.
area, so we will take it up, please.
Yeah. Does any audit have database of sample process risk, sample process risk controls, OE procedure, substantive procedures? The master data of one firm, can it be visible to other CA firms? The third point is documentation of the testing WP mapping to each risk available in any audit. Sir, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'll
WP
take it up.
mapping. Yeah.
Yeah, working paper reference. Yes.
Right.
So it's a beautiful set of questions, in fact. Yeah.
Yeah, it is
First
three
thing,
questions actually. Yeah.
First thing you asked about library of standard risk. So go to settings. In the settings, there are multiple configurable entities. As I said, you can create a checklist. You can create a compliance calendar. Compliance calendar is one that gets triggered. If you set it as quarterly frequency, you can define what are all the SEBI compliances. What are all the SEBI compliances? What are all under listed? So like that, you can set the compliance calendar. That is one entity. Answering your question, standard processes and internal controls. In this, we have defined employee training. This is a standard. Safety protocol standard. Vendor selection standard. Tenant onboarding standard. Okay, it's a generic process which we have built so that you can borrow it and then change it to the client. The client may follow this, may not follow this. Okay, so this you can see here the source. The source could be any audit, which means we have given it complimentary. The source could be self, which means you created on your own. And there is a third source. So we have built a ecosystem. Okay, we have built a facility called marketplace. So where you can shop. If you are an author, if you are an SME subject matter expert, you can put up your content. So it becomes a new way to publish. The original book publishing moved to e-publishing, moved to journal publishing. Now it is like actionable publishing. Actionable publishing is if somebody puts up a checklist, somebody else can download it with payment or without payment, whatever, and then they can use it straight away. The standard processes or the qualifications, the key audit camps or anything. Now, if you go to marketplace, so in the marketplace, there could be like audit program, template for audit program authored by someone, maybe with some price tag or without a price tag. So we invite you to kindly put up your content over there. If you are on subject matter, like we have something of Kamal Garg also, an internal control assessment here, you can see. So like that we have put up, of course, this is a demo one. The prices and all are not real. There is something 15,000. Don't get worried about that. Okay, and it is like per checklist or per questionnaire or per very granular entity. So in the marketplace facility, you can also see how many downloads of that particular author. You can also see a profile of the author. So who it is. So like that, what happens is, if you are an author, you can publish it. And if you download it here, it becomes the source as credits to that author. If it is of any audit, so this becomes any audit one. You can of course localize it by downloading it, but problem with localizing is once you localize, the later updates cannot be downloaded. So if you keep it to the source, any later update will be updated automatically. But if you want to localize and then develop it on your own, you are also free to do that. Okay, so there are three ways to do. And another question is whether the know-how that was built by one firm is accessible to another firm? Never ever. Okay. So the total name you can see here, of course, I'm doing it on a demo. The name is actually AnyAudit. So this is a real site, AnyAudit.in. So therefore, what happens is from AnyAudit, you will have one entity name, like you can see FGH Associates. You will have one exclusive, though it is on cloud, the instance is exclusive. Okay, and it is encrypted and it is guided by confidentiality and non-disclosure. So in any which case, your know-how is not accessible to any others. But of course, what we encourage you and request you is, if you are a subject matter expert, kindly host it so that with payment, it could be one good source of revenue. Without payment, it could be a very good contribution to public at large. So therefore, somebody like recently the DMAT of private limited companies had come. The PMLR had come. The audit trail had come. So if any author is hosting the content, okay, and the content is not very simple content also. Let me, because the context is there. Now you see here, the checklist is here, SA checklist or whatever. They are not plain Excel kind of checklists. Now I take one example. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, can you give me another example on this? Yeah, here you can define the rule. Like for example, verification of asset general principles. I can define a rule here. So in the rule phase, what I can say is, in the rule phase, I can define like a trigger. Like if the question so and so happens to be yes, then as a consequence, what has to happen here? So once you answer a checklist, based on the answer, the next consequential checklist or process or report or annexure will get triggered automatically. Okay, so the hosting here is not a general hosting. Rather, it is with interlinkages from one checklist to one process to one risk assessment to another. Okay, so that it becomes an auto trigger entity. Yeah. So hope I answered your all the questions on whether we got the standard master library with them or we have to build everything. No, all employee training, rent invoicing, rental agreement, sale deed, all of that everyday use case are already built, and we keep building them also. 2, you can build on your own. 3, you can shop. Yeah.
The master data of one firm, is it visible to other firms?
No, never. I have already said that it is completely exclusive, encrypted, covered by legally by confidentiality and non-disclosure agreement signed by us. So in any case, it will never happen.
Working paper mapping to each risk available.
Yeah. Working paper mapping, I'll come to that. It is a full subject on its own. Yeah. The working paper mapping is seamlessly automatic. Right from planning stage to execution stage, you can see here the WPR, the working paper reference is automatic. Okay, so I'm coming here. Now you can see here each chapter, under the chapter a milestone, under the milestone a procedure. The CMP is a structure that we followed. So chapter is nothing but a folder to keep things relevant at one area at one place. So under the chapter, let us say scope, detailed audit objective is a milestone. Under that you can keep the procedures. The working paper number is generated automatically. Okay. If you move this process to up, the working paper reference number will change automatically. Now what happens is, it is not limited to process anywhere. If you go to a checklist, if I go to substantive testing, if I go to a checklist, now if I go to some checklist called fixed asset detailed issues, now you can see here, if I create a memo from here, if I create a memo here, even in the memo, the working paper reference is automatic. The working paper reference 310001004. How the working paper is coming? Because I am in that particular chapter, substantive testing, and under the checklist section and checklist number. So similarly, if I come from process audit, if I take fixed asset acquisition as a process, and if I go to risk assessment, which I just had showcased, and if I raise a memo from there, okay. And if I go to the reference section, you can see the working paper reference 500-002-003. It is a reference to internal 500, internal control, 002, name of the process, 003. 003 is like the sub-step or risk under that. So therefore, anywhere to anywhere, the working paper reference is automatic. Now, if you go download all the memos, I have already downloaded. Let me show from there. Now, if you go here, no, not this one, or I'll download again. So these are all the various memos that are built in this. So these are all various memos. The company has not conducted cost benefit analysis properly. The standard set was not correct. So this is a memo. Memo number is 69, assignment number 2. And it is having a cross reference to the working paper 400-001-003. Could be a checklist, could be a balance confirmation, could be a risk assessment, could be CARO, could be anything else. Okay. So therefore, you will simply forget referencing working papers. So that is what we say, a little ambitious call, of course. You will simply forget to give working paper reference because you are coming from there. The system will borrow the working paper reference on the go and it will imprint it cross. So if you go to working paper, this memo 2/69 will be printed over there. And in this memo 2/69, the working paper reference will be printed. So therefore, even for a peer reviewer, if you take the whole set into one binder, so it will be very easy to navigate because there is a cross referencing everywhere to everywhere. Okay. In fact, this is a very big headache. And as a memos, all of them are falling under this working paper reference 600. So 600 is a working paper reference to memos as such. You can go to the tree here. The whole of the memos are falling under 600001. And that is why the reference 60001 is there. So that for working paper reference, you can simply, what I said, documentation, you will simply forget. Working paper reference, you will simply forget because you are working on a portal. See, there is no trial balance preparation in Tally or SAP. The moment we put daybook, trial balance, balance sheet are auto-generated. So it becomes documentation to peer review becomes as seamless, as incidental that we will forget it someday. Perform, your documentation is taken care. Yeah, Ritesh, any other?
No, you can continue. You can continue.
Yeah. So Kamalji, shall I? In fact, I missed out on very important portion. How the actual flow happens. Like for example, how we fill the checklist, where we record the memo, where it get reflected in a final report. So can I go ahead on that for the sake of completeness? I couldn't hear you.
Sir, you are not audible, sir. Kamalji.
Yeah, it's breaking. I couldn't listen. I couldn't hear it. Yeah, I'm going ahead, sir. I'm going ahead. Yeah. So sample selection is one of the most important areas. So even in the introduction, Kamalji had said how the sample had been drawn. The answer is everything is in the head. So it's a professional judgment. That's it. So it's not like that. In fact, if you see Nefra, if you see the comments of QRB, most of the time the question is why this sample? How this sample? Okay, on what qualitative or quantitative parameters the sample had been drawn. So before I go into the actual field work of the audit, that is checklist filling, questionnaire filling, form filling, or balance confirmation or physical verification, let me spend few minutes on data analytics. So we in any audit, there is an exclusive module on data analytics. Okay, so this is a module on data analytics. So in the data analytics module, you can upload any Excel file. It could be the audit population, the audit universe could be anything, fixed assets, sales, purchases, it could be anything. So fixed asset register. So now these are all my fixed assets. Let us say show all 408. You can perform lot many audit functions. Okay, very powerful than Excel. But of course, not as wide as Excel, because Excel is there to prepare statements. Some, if we look, whatever it is you can do in Excel, you can prepare printouts, balance sheets, whatever you want. This is an exclusive audit analytics. Please don't stretch it to the level of that. But then it is very much powerful than Excel because it is cut out for audit. Now we have got multiple fields here, fixed asset category, etc. You can perform any sort of audit functions on this, like stratification, Benford analysis, outlier detection, random sampling, Pareto analysis, bivariate analysis. So all of them are click away. No requirement to write any formula, nothing like that. Okay, like I can perform any filtering. First, let me delete whatever is there. And let me answer the question of Kamalji on one subject, that how the sample is drawn. Now, let us say I'm applying a filter like where category contains building. Now it is filtered out and my filter is saved here. Of course, it was saved temporarily. I can either save it permanently or delete it. Okay. So if this is my sample, how my sample is drawn, I'm having a basis. Now, if I want to do further analysis, I can take the total data set, show all, or I can start from this filter and run another filter like vendor containing limited. Now I have only one set. So this is how I gradually filtered it out. So how the filters you can apply, that is up to your imagination. There is a multi-filter also here. So in the multi-filter, I can run a combination query like where category contains building and vendor contains go. Vendor contains maybe limited. So if I submit, it is a combination of two. So I got 4 records. Okay. And these are very basic, which we will do every day. There are certain multiple advanced features also. Like for example, there is a bivariate analysis. You can take 2 variables at a time. I will keep maybe vendor on one side, maybe category on one side, and cost of acquisition on another side. X-axis, Y-axis kind of a thing. Now you see the summary of this, the abstract of that. Buildings, how many are there? Some as a percentage, count as a percentage, average of that lot, minimum of that lot, max of that lot. If you want to drill into any one of them, computer equipment, now you see all the computer equipment, 65 items here. So this is bivariate. So similarly, if I want to stratify the whole data, stratified random sampling, that is what auditing standard says. So we must stratify the data unless the risk is homogeneous. You cannot take 2 different risks and then sample it out randomly. So if you want to stratify quantitatively, click on stratify button. You need not write any formula. Which column you want to stratify? How many buckets you want to stratify? The system will give a stratification map and you can dig into any one of these buckets. Like if there are 6 here, if I want to go into those 6, so now I could see only those 6 on that. Okay. Similarly, of course, this is a whole lot system. You can generate a random sample. Random, of course, is the last one. This is all qualitative. Random is just quantitative. So let us say if I want to run from, there's a big window with multiple combinations possible, like from each vendor or from each category, I want 2 as or 3 as my sample, so that there is a representative sampling. From every category, you will have 3. If you want to weight it or simple, if you want to weight it, you are weighing it on what? You are weighing it on cost of purchase. That means the more the cost of purchase, the more should be the probability of it getting picked up. So it is up to you to use any combination that you want, and more you use, more you get accustomed. Okay, so it's a random sampling that was generated. And if you want to save it to the log, if you want to save it to your working log, I can save it to the work log. How my sample is picked up. So let us say sample of assets from limited entities. So the moment I save it, the moment I save it, yeah, it is not deletable. There was some echo. Yeah. So much to do on this, outlier detection. If we are an advanced statistics, Z-scores, interquartile ratios and all, they are also there. Okay. And there are like if you want to perform any duplicate analysis, like one category of asset having multiple methods of depreciation. Is it there in this data? So go on duplicated transactions by column, category wise duplication. Of course, that is very easy. Category wise having different methods of WDV. So if you run this, it will do it. Now, if you see here under buildings, 11 are under straight line, 9 are under WDV. So if you want to see whether whole class is revalued or not, so you can go to duplication, single class, multiple revaluations, revalued yes or no, you can do that. Okay. Of course, when we have a workshop kind of a thing to explain all of things, this module requires a little bit of training because there are multiple options like duplicated, missed out transactions, number of occurrences of each character and all. As I said, all the analytics that are very relevant for an auditor were placed without any technical knowledge, formulas and all. Now, what happens after sampling? That is important. Now, if I selected 6 as my sample, I can do the sampling in Excel also. That is not a problem. But once I do the sampling on this, what I have to do? Let us say I'm audit manager or audit in charge. So I have made the risk assessment. I have captured the collection. I have filtered it out. On this, what to do? So you can select all of them or some of them, and you can scope it to the audit. So I can say adapt the procedure checklist by name class 642 to be performed by some Nishant and to be escalated to Abhishek post that to be performed within so and so date and hours given is 1. So that is what I said when each module talks to each other. In the data analytics itself, I can make the work allocation also. Okay, so that Abhishek gets informed, Nishant gets informed that these tests are posted for them and they have to do in the portal itself. While they do, of course, they can raise a memo, they can raise notes, they can upload attachments as a proof of evidence, whatever it is. So therefore, having selected a sample, the post sample selection, what I want to do. Now, here, if I want to perform a risk assessment or internal control evaluation, I say SOP. SOP is fixed asset acquisition. SOP has to be tested. Now, you want to test the process compliance or you want to test the design. So it is like test of design or test of detail. That also you can choose. So while you select a sample and put it to internal control evaluation like SOP, fixed asset acquisition to be checked. For what? For the strength of design or for having compliance of whatever is designed. That also you can define. Okay, so this is a starting point or rather starting point of execution. Until this is like risk assessment planning, very required for bigger audits, maybe not that required for smaller audits, but this execution is there for all the audits. Now, if you go to the substantive testing in the checklist, so for each of these checklists, like general check for verification of fixed asset. So if I go there, how many are sampled out? 839 and 820 are the sample IDs. So there the user can answer it here or raise a memo or raise a note or initiate a communication. Communication could be internal or external. You can talk to the client also from here without writing any mail or so. So it becomes in their login, they will answer it. Okay. And then you can even upload the attachments as a proof of that. It will go to working paper, category, subcategory and all. So you can upload any proof of you are performing. Okay, so you have uploaded and the attachment is seen here. Now, if I raise a memo on this, so I'm saying that there is no provisioning for impairment and title deeds are not with the company. Example. Now I'm saying it as a low or high. What I can do is while I raise a memo, either me or the one who is to whom I am reporting, they can link it to the reports here from here itself. So let us say if they link it to Caro, so they can choose Caro or 3CA, 3CD, 10B, 10C, whatever is a report. Again, reports are also configurable. It is not Caro, the system knows Caro. On the settings, we configured certain ready to use reports. You can configure, let us say you designed one internal audit report. You can put your internal audit report there so that it becomes callable here. So you can call to that internal audit report and put it to respective paragraph. That's it. So the moment you raise a memo, whoever is raising in your office, they can link it to any particular report. Submitted for approval of. Okay. So this is how a memo is raised. Again, at the cost of repetition, I say just forget working paper references. Everywhere the working paper reference is automatic. Okay. Now what is happening is if I go to my final reporting, whoever is giving the final report, let us say I'm issuing Caro. If I want to know one particular paragraph, 3.1a, whether the company is maintaining proper records particulars, the one who issues the Caro, mostly the partner or mostly the signing partner, and it happens at the end of the day, end of the audit. So by that time, what are all the findings that are coming to me? I need not collect, I need not collate, I need not run through what you call my mails and all. I can simply go to findings. So there is no provisioning, title deed not with the company, etc. So I will see all the findings. So based on that, I can write my answer here. So there was some other guidance which we have provided, like how industry is reporting. Tata Consultancy 21-22. So all the industry practice of reporting for that particular paragraph, we have put it so that it is little easy for you to draft, or you can save model answers where from you can draw one of the model answer, most appropriate one. And again, you can use any variables. This overstatement of asset is a variable. So this is picked up from the working paper. This is picked up from the working paper. So it becomes very seamless when you report. You can see all the findings of this year, all the findings of last year also, the answer that you have given in the last year also. So the copy paste errors are totally avoided. If you are copying it consciously. Okay. And if you are putting any variable, they are changing on their own. No risk of having some old unapplicable answer. Somebody says profit, and then if you go to the profit and loss, there will be loss. So FRRB had given lot of examples of misreporting that had happened. So Kamal Garg had also said there will be related parties, but there will be no mention in that. Board director's report says related parties, auditor's report or notes to accounts are not speaking about that. Okay, all of those cases are because the data was static, copied, and that was a danger. If you variabilize it as much as possible, that risk is totally mitigated. Okay, so this is a final flow, and because it is all happening in a portal, if I want to dig deep into that, if I want to dig into any one of them, like I have found a discrepancy of 2000. Who did it? Click, like from balance sheet, you are going to trial, from trial, you are going to GL, from GL, you are going to the day book and the JV, like how it is happening in accounting today. Of course, auditing is not as automated as accounting. That is very steady state of affair. So now from Caro, I came down one step to audit response. From there, I can go to audit memo. From there, if there are references, I can even go to that subject and population. Okay. So this is how the final flow happens, and documentation for any relevant section. You can go and see the documentation in a respective area at the audit engagement planner. In the engagement planner, you can download the documentation of any portion. Of course, you can see here the status bars being turning red and green, the whole engagement status bar. And then in the dashboard, how many items are pending, with a given user. So all of that MIS and all partners database is there. I'm not going into that in detail because, of course, when something is there, you can imagine what others can be done in the portal. So just I wanted to cover the other flow, Kamal sir. So I have covered it. Any further questions on any of the areas? Most welcome, sir.
I found it quite comprehensive, and I believe we must open this platform for further discussion by the participants, if any.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm just sharing, stopping the sharing of screen so that I can also see the participants. So far, I'm like seeing my own screen and then talking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mr. CA Murli Telluri has one more question. Sir, is your question answered? I'm just repeating the question. Okay. Suggestive audit techniques for selected area of audit, that is audit of PPE additions, deletion of PPE, sales verification and analysis, as there are multiple audit analytical techniques showing here.
Yeah, they are there, sir. Yeah. In the settings, as I said, in a settings, there are 20 configurable entities. So audit approach, you can configure, audit conclusion, you can configure, standard process, you can configure, decisions, you can configure, checklist, you can configure. So everything is configurable, and we are giving certain standard processes also. Upload of trial balance. Okay, transaction wise, you have to upload in a ledger scrutiny. That is a different module altogether. It is a financial statement audit. It starts with trial balance. But if you want to dig deep into daybook, so you can upload the daybook, then ledger scrutiny is possible. Or if you want to take standalone, like purchase register, I am taking, upload the purchase register, but then you have to analyze on your own with the analytical tools that are provided. The question is, we have seen only uploaded TB, but where the transaction wise analysis has been done, how the same can be uploaded. Yeah, I have already shown that, sir. Anyway, I'll go there. So in the data collection module, from the data collection, you can upload any Excel data here. So upload Excel. So it will accept any Excel file. There is no set of columns and all. But once you upload it, you can either map it or you can go even without mapping. So I have collected chart of accounts, inventory report, suppliers, customers, purchase register, sales register, fixed asset register. So you can upload any individual data set, go there and perform any sort of a analytics that you want. Okay. If you want to have a predefined rule, that also is possible. Go to settings, define a data collection and verification rule. Like, for example, I'm adding it on one particular area, rule name, purchases from MSME. I'm putting it on population by name purchases. And I'm writing the rule upfront. Upfront in the sense, even without collecting the data. Yeah. Even without collecting the data, what I am saying is, if the party name contains or is identified by limited. Same rule I am writing, but I am writing in a settings. If the date is between or greater than or whatever between. So if I write a rule like this, what happens is the moment I put the data set, I can run the rule purchase from MSME, purchase from limited entities, purchased in last quarter, purchased with vendors with low diligence score. So you can pre-write the rule and apply the rules also. So the data collection and analytical rule, if you write it here, you can go to the data collection and apply the rule. But that is possible only with predefined data sets. With an undefined data set, the general stratification, bivariate, those tools are there. You can use the tool. Anyway, as I said, data collection and analytics require some sort of a hand holding because it is technical. It is not generic like raising a memo, going to report and then doing it like every day. So that we will anyway do. Are there checklists available?
Is, are there the checklists available?
Yeah. All plain, all everyday use checklists. Everything on Ind AS, Caro, Schedule 3, Division 1, 2, 3. Okay. All of those checklists. Even if you go to accounting standards, the checklists were further broken down into treatment, disclosure, and measurement, treatment, and then disclosure. That kind of a breaking down the checklist is also available. In addition to that, we are also putting up some industry specific content. Okay, of course, drawn from institutes compendium on industry specific internal audit standards. So we have the mentorship of Kamal Garg ji on that. So a lot of the data which were we prepared, sir mentored and then sir vetted, sir given. So all of them are also there. And as I said, you can keep creating on your own.
Yeah, any other questions? Participants are encouraged to unmute themselves and you can directly speak, sir, instead of typing. It will be more interactive.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
one question from Kirti Kumar, sir, once again. Sign off team members, review note facility available and archival of files possible.
Yeah. Archival I have already shown. I have even shown from the archive only. I have shown it from the archive only. So if you go to the engagement planner, again, the basic founding screen. Yeah, you can see here the performance. Performance will be done by to those who you have allocated. All allocations are there in this. So who is in charge, who is checker, who is maker, who could be additional checkers and additional makers. All of them are there. I'm not going into details of that, but at a very high level picture, the performance is there and then sign off. While you write a sign off, there could be a dialogue also. So not allowed because it was not performed. So all of that you can see here, I cannot sign off because it was not performed. Okay. Now this I want to perform. This action can be performed only by the in charge. I am not the in charge, so I cannot perform. So all of those rules are all taken care. Okay. So the moment I go to give a sign off, I'll change the user here. Let me change the user for better presentation. I am able to do because I am manager of this. Yeah, now I am Pravina. So I'm going here. There's still some unfinished work that cannot be done on this. Okay. Yeah, sometimes protocols could be hindrances. Now, if I go to perform it, because it was not finished, it is not allowing me. Otherwise, I can go here and then engagement EQCR, only engagement partner or review partner can do this. Here, if I am permitted, I can go there and then write a review note also. Not only that, if you go to any one particular item of this, okay, the footer of every screen is performed, signed off and reviewed by. So the review can be done coming to the planner for the whole or in the respective screens. And if there is any review note, you can see reviewed by bracket 0 means there are no review notes on that. So if your reviewer comes and writes a note, the number of review notes will appear on a bracket, which is an indication that the reviewer had posed something and the engagement partner or the signing partner has to answer that. It is all R&R module, roles and responsibilities module, which we will anyway explain. Okay, so the very SQC1, it is not like take a checklist and fill the checklist. Of course, that we can anyway do. This is SQC checklist 1. SQC1 checklist, I can go and then say whether you got a process. Yes, I can answer. That is all very easy. But then using this platform is a very proof of SQC, because one of the SQCs is there a work distribution? Is there a periodical review? The very platform is built on those lines, and our working papers are a standing proof of that. So therefore, coming here and in the SQC checklist putting yes or no is very incidental. Okay, not only SQC, you can even go to AQMM, DCMM scores. They are also readily evaluated. So you can go to the rating system and prefer AQMM. So this is AQMM analysis. So practice, you can come and answer here. Workflow practice manual if you are having it or not. So once you select the respective answer, the score is 8 out of 8. So overall total is 50 under this subhead. So all of these evaluations of the entity. So this also is very, very important to put up for our peer review. Okay, the AQMM, DCMM, or even the peer review kind of a thing. There are rating systems under the rating system section. In the rating system, you can even have, let us say you are hiring a person, you are recruiting. For recruiting, you developed one rating system about his integrity, background, and all, certain score and all. So you can even rate your employee. You can even rate client acceptance. You can even rate, you can build your own rating system also. Okay. All standard AQMM, DCMM given by Institute version 1, now version 2, all of them are readily available. So SQC is taken, the quality of the audit is taken in all, so far whatever is an available literature on that, that was all captured. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So there is one more question, whether audit memo can be mapped.
Yeah, absolutely. You can capture one memo to multiple reports, or you can capture one memo to one report, multiple paragraphs. You can capture one memo to various FSS line items. You can capture one memo to various assertions, various risk profiles. Lot of possibilities are there. Yes. We have an implementation program also. Ritesh will talk on that. So where we have an hands-on, it will be like some 10 to 15 hours it will take, like 2 hours, 1 week or 2 full days kind of a thing as it pleases. So therefore we can introduce whatever, and we will also encourage like a progressive implementation, like start with small and then gradually grow big, any which way as the firm pleases.
Okay. Any more questions on the product end or technical front, audit wise?
Hello, I'm Prakash Apte. Thank you for the detailed webinar on this. I would like to know whether this recording of this webinar will be available to users so that I can show it to my partners also in the firm when my office reopens after Diwali next week. And then we can take a call of buying this product. Thank you.
Great. To answer that question, we will be hosting the webinars recording on YouTube itself, sir. And we'll be sharing the link to all the participants who have registered and who had showed interest for the webinar.
Thank you very much.
So, thank you, sir. So, Mr. Mukesh Dua is asking, can data be uploaded from ERP system of audit client? Sir, integration with ERP is slightly tricky, sir, because it depends on the version of ERP. And let us say there is an update to the ERP, then maybe we will need to rewrite the whole API, which is interacting with the ERP. So till now, what we have suggested and what we have found success with is that you download the data, because each and every ERP will allow you to download the data in terms of a CSV or an Excel file, and then you translate that data into the AnyAudit system, which will be very convenient for you. But
else API will be a customization call, which we will do it for you. That will be like a specific customization call. Of course, if it is Tally, then there is a ready-made API. You can download it as a JSON and upload the whole data. It depends on ERP, as Ritesh had said. If you want to custom build, we have a customization service also, which we can discuss case-to-case basis. Like.
Hello, Prakash Apte here again. This uploading of Excel files, will they have to be sanitized?
In terms of if you're talking about they conforming to a template which is predefined or something like that, not required, sir. In terms of data cleanliness, if you're talking about data cleanliness, junk data, then yes, that has to be sanitized, sir.
Yeah, perfect. So there are two ways. One, first upload, garbage in is also okay, but then it will stop you to sanitize there in the portal and then go ahead. It is pre-confirming, no requirement. You can straight away go to the usage.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Any other questions from the audience?
So,
okay, then, Mr. Rajiv Dugar has raised one question. I think this we'll take this as the last question. Once you map the templates with ERP fields, can it be used again and again?
Yes, that is what I have shown. Any predefined data set, you can pre-write the rule. So you can pre-write the rule and then it will become applicable over and over for a defined data set. Okay. So if you define data set, then the facility to define rule will be enabled. If you define the rule, then the rule will become your rule bank, which you can iterate it over. In case of an undefined data set, rules are not applicable, but you can manually do all of them. So to answer your question, it is possible. Yes. How previous year working papers?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, how previous year working papers will be taken care to the next year? It is seamless. I have shown it under Caro. If you go to findings of the earlier year, they are visible ready-made because your previous file is also there in this ERP. Okay. But what we suggest is, let us say if you want to start for this year, that is 24 March, you please start it from 23rd March. So start it from 22, 23. Though you are not performing the audit, that will allow you to create the legacy data of the earlier year. If you want to have that previous year, go back and then start, because once you start an audit, the portal will not allow you to predate before that, because that is not possible. In case of audit, in case of other than audit engagements like special purpose engagements, certifications and all, there is no financial year concept at all. Okay. And once you put the data, if you say materiality in screen, last year materiality is borrowed automatically. Okay. Similarly, if there are any memos of last year that are unfinished, they will come as a pending action taken report for our ATR purpose. If you go to Caro, the earlier Caro recordings, findings, and the final answer given are readily available. Okay. So again, as I said, some things are taken care automatically so that you can just simply forget. Any audit is itself hosted on cloud, sir. There is no requirement of cloud data separately. Based on the number of licenses you purchase, let us say 5 GB per user, number of users you take, that much of cloud space is given. If you want to subscribe for more cloud space, you are free to subscribe on your own, no problem.
A small clarification there. When we say on your own, you can do it through us. You will get it a very nominal rate. So
of course.
in the sense,
like,
we'll do it for you. But if you want to do it separately on your own, that's also okay.
Yeah, that's also okay.
So I
accessibility to the cloud. Hello, Prakash Apte here again.
Yes, sir.
Accessibility to the cloud and bandwidth at your end. How good is it? Because if there are many CAs who are jumping on this, and if all of us are doing audit at the same time, I want to know what is the time lag.
Yeah,
so there is no real time lag, sir. There is no real time lag because the point of hosting on the cloud itself is elasticity. So we have not experienced any trouble on that front. Okay. So in terms of data retrieval and latency, there are no complaints, sir.
Sir, it is auto scalable. As Ritesh said, I'm just elaborating. It is an elastic cloud compute, they call ECC. So as and when new data request comes, the cloud expands. And when it is lean, the cloud compresses. So therefore, there will be no latency on any cloud application. It depends on how auto scaling it is. We are on a full auto scaling. So therefore, if the traffic is more, the cloud will become bigger also.
Okay, thank you.
So it is auto scaled. We are with AWS. So in AWS, we subscribed for ECC and they take care of that automatically.
Okay, thanks.
So before we go to the closing remarks by Kamal Garg ji, we should say from the bottom of the heart, lot of thanks to Kamal ji for being very, very critical. So whenever we show something and if it is not okay, he never let that bug pass. He never let that suboptimality pass. So to have that much of a criticality, even the peer reviewers or even in professional audit, we have not exercised that much of a criticality. So Kamal Garg had been very, very critical and that had been very instrumental. His mentorship had been instrumental in building it up. Even now, if something is not less than, if it is something is less than the par, he will raise the eyebrows. That is very good for us. And so that I want to just say from the bottom of the heart. Now, Ritesh, over to you and then.
Yes, Yes, Kamal Garg ji's mentorship has been really, really instrumental in developing and shaping the application. Thank you, sir, for that. So since we are just making a close, I would like to reiterate a couple of logistical things here. So I think a couple of, for the benefit of all the participants, it has been answered in the chat, but just reiterating, in terms of implementation, support, please be rest assured, because we have a large team of chartered accountants who will be dedicated success managers for each firm. So each firm will be assigned one dedicated success manager who themselves will be chartered accountants with good experience in audit and who will be experts in the AnyAudit platform as well. So, and the hand holding will be done. There'll be number of implementation sessions. There is a standard number of implementation sessions that Shiva had just mentioned previously, about 15 hours or 16, 17 hours, depending on case-to-case basis. But however, if the firm requires any additional sessions, those will be taken without any additional charge or anything like that. So we firmly believe that if you are able to successfully derive value from the product, only then we'll be successful. So with that notion in mind, customer support, implementation support, somebody has asked about literature for manuals. We'll be providing user manuals, user videos and tutorials. We are soon going to populate each page with a help and information page. That is a process that is going to, and few months down the line, there will be a mechanism where you can just type in any question in the help chat bot kind of a thing, which will be powered by the repository, knowledge repository of AnyAudit, where any user can easily use AnyAudit and each screen specific help will be available on the screen itself. One very important point somebody had raised is that because of floating of articles, there might be people who will be coming in midterm after their study leaves or something, and you've already implemented AnyAudit. Let us say 6 months, 8 months down the line, you have new articles in, and then you need training for them. Those training also will be provided. And by that time, we will have process champions within the organization itself. You will have process champions within the organization itself. With them and with support from the AnyAudit staff, you can easily onboard those new employees as well. So that also will not be a problem. So I'm just leaving my number in the chat. You've already got my email, and everybody will get this again. After that, you can just reach out to me, and we can take it forward if you are interested in going for a demo and a trial. Okay, so with this, handing it over to Kamal ji. Thank you all for attending. Thank you all for taking the time. Kamal ji, over to you.
Thank you, Ritesh ji, and thank you, Siva sir, for this comprehensive presentation. I'm really glad that you have complimented me with a different sense of workflow by saying that I was critical. I am bound to be critical because that is the duty you have given to me. So if all the audience remember, some years back, our ex-president of ICI, Shri Debasit Mitra ji, he stated very categorically that audit is a serious business. I must say it is a statement which is to the core, and the tools like AnyAudit will add sincerity to the seriousness. Because when we say audit is a serious business, we need something like a supporting thing, and that supporting thing can come up with the help of this AnyAudit. So to bring in the sincerity and to couple it up with seriousness, I believe this tool could be useful. And more importantly, I must also say, I don't know how far my words will be likable by all or not. As I started my speech in the inception, I told that so much of taxation is traveling into our DNA. And when we go 25 years back, there used to be Saral 2D form. We were filing Saral by having a manual filing. Now we have traveled a lot. And by traveling, I mean the chartered accountants practice. By traveling, we have come across Saral manual filing to income tax portal now. The quantum of automation we brought up in income tax or GST for that matter, we never thought about that. So I was telling that some 20-25 years back, there was a concept of manual bookkeeping. People started electronic bookkeeping. But I don't know why, right from our CA curriculum, the day one of our chartered accountancy audit chapter, we were taught auditing begins where accounting ends. Accounting ended up with automation, but audit never got its pie to go into automation. I believe that people like Siva sir and Ritesh, who are burning midnight oil, and they're working so hard. I have seen their journey of the working. I believe the people must be complimented for their efforts they made about documentation and other capturing of the auditing standards. So I would conclude my speech like this way. To complement the words of our ex-president that audit is a serious business, let us have one more complimentation that we have to bring in the sincerity of this serious business. And to bring up that sincerity, I believe the tools like AnyAudit could be useful to each one of us. And thank you, Siva sir and Ritesh ji. And I also compliment you for your hard work. Your hard work is visible by your dark circles. So that kind of journey you are traveling, that is really commendable. Thank you very much. And thank you, audience, for have the patience listening to both of these gentlemen. Really appreciate.
Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for the kind words.
Yeah. And being on a World Cup final day, this participation is really great. And
somebody is asking, Ritesh ji, somebody is asking the cost of this
yes
product. So I think,
I will reach out to you, sir. I will reach out to you. Yeah.
One suggestion, Siva sir
Mr.
and Ritesh
Gita
ji.
Vanagopal, I'll reach out to you. Yeah.
One suggestion is there before I log out because I have another meeting lined up. There were some questions in the chat box. I would suggest like you can compile all these questions as FAQs so that this could be
Sure, sir.
beneficial to public at large. And Mr. Apte asked some good questions. Please also consider those questions to be considered in FAQs.
Correct.
yes,
I
sir.
found one question by Shri Aniket ji. The question is about cloud-based servers being denied or prohibited by SEBI. So let me emphasize one point over here. SEBI circular, if my memory serves me right, dated 6th March 23 or maybe 22. But they stated that cloud-based servers are restricted for intermediaries like stockbrokers or people like that. This AnyAudit is not for the intermediaries primarily. It is for auditors. So if it is on cloud-based system, there is no prohibition or there is no application of that SEBI circular.
Even
believe this,
Gmail, even all mailboxes are on cloud. Any mailbox is on cloud.
Yes. So that's so simple clarification is if you are the auditor of a listed company and you are taking data from them for the purpose of audit, then that SEBI circular will not be applicable. And for that matter, even SEBI circular is not applicable to listed entities other than intermediaries. And one more good thing which I must reiterate for the sake of all the audience, this tool is beneficial. I personally feel, maybe I could be having a difference of view. I personally feel that this tool could be useful not only for the auditors, but for the auditees also. This can be helpful to the auditees in compiling the data for the auditors. Or maybe if you are having an in-house internal audit department, the companies may have internal audit department. This tool can be used even by the internal audit department. Similarly, we have, I'm sorry, I'm exceeding my time limit, but still for the sake of benefit of all, like we do have insolvency and bankruptcy code, IBC. Found that this tool could be supplemented to the forensics of avoidance transactions. Like in IBC, we have preferential transactions, fraudulent transactions, undervalued transactions, extortionate transactions. Insolvency professionals also need to do forensics of these four kind of transactions. So to do these forensics, I believe this AnyAudit.in could be useful because the word itself, says AnyAudit. So Any will be helpful in my forensics. So thank you, Siva sir and Ritesh. I will take your leave because I have more meeting lined up.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank
a
you
lot,
so
sir.
much, sir.
Thanks a lot. So, two things. We are putting up a stall at Glopac. So kindly, whoever is visiting Glopac, kindly let us meet in person also there. So from 24, 25, 26 at Gandhinagar Glopac. Ritesh, can you tell the stall number? I don't.
Yeah. We will be in hall 2, stall number 50. So we'll be very, very happy to meet any of you in person there. If you're attending, please do stop by. And please, a request to all the participants today is please share, please spread the word about AnyAudit. I think we really feel that more than a product, I think we are to establish in the CA community an ecosystem of moving from a process driven, from a person driven or manual type of process to a system driven approach. That is the one of the major aims of AnyAudit. So please let us all together try and achieve this. So please spread the word to the extent possible. Please attend if you're attending Globlac, please stop by at our stall. We are at stall 50 in Exhibition Hall 2.
So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I will take a leave and all the best.
Thank you.
And
Thank you all.
Thank you,
Thank you
sir.
all for attending.
Thanks for the
It was a
time. Thanks
pleasure.
for every participant for taking out time on a World Cup final day. And we are also looking for a lot of action to come today. Thank you.
Thank you.